your weekly view of young leaders taking big steps. This is Next Gen. Presented by PFI, home of Boo Daddy.
Two now professors here at Missouri State University's College of Agriculture started out as undergrad students years ago and still have one lingering fascination.
Yeah, we both used hydroponic systems in our research when we were working on plant nutrition research. So we're familiar with some of the systems. And one day we were thinking, a lot of students are interested in hydroponics. It is a growing industry. And we thought, why aren't we teaching a class? So we offered it 2 years ago, and there was a long wait to get into the class. We had to limit the number of students who could get in.
And so you are in the second year of the class. You still have a wait list. Take me through the type of students that are in the class and the layout of the lessons leading up to the actual building of their own hydroponic system.
Sure. Our students are mostly plant science majors. However, we have other majors in the class who are just interested in learning about the systems. A lot of them want to produce their own vegetables or even have their own small farm someday. So this could be an aspect of part of their enterprise. So we wanted this class to be very hands-on and get them very practical experience. So we divide them into groups, and they work as groups the entire semester. They plan, they design, they get the equipment, and they build their own systems. So in that process of building their own systems, they learn a lot about each system, what works, what doesn't, and how to troubleshoot anything that comes along the way. One thing they do learn is that it's not expensive to build a system. We can go and get ordinary items and build systems from it. They don't have to be expensive prefabricated systems. Then once they design their own and they build it, we start growing plants, and that's the fun part. They get to put real life plants in there and grow them throughout the semester, and by this time in the semester, they're beautiful, ready to be harvested vegetables.
So we're here in the greenhouse, and I understand that there's 4 groups and all their projects are taking place right in here?
Right in here.
So up first is the ebb and flow system?
Yes. This is a flood and drain. It basically floods periodically and then drains out. So the nutrient solution is provided for a period of time and then it's taken away.
What's important about the flood and drain system?
So the flood and drain fills up with nutrient solution probably 5 or 6 times a day. Stays in there for a period of time and then drains out because the roots require oxygen. So you have to, if you leave it flooded all the time, the plants will die.
So what have these students learned? What issues have they had to solve?
Well, this group is doing a slightly different. Normally the flood and drain is in buckets or large containers, and so they're using PVC pipe. And one of the first issues they ran into is the pump would flood their system and just keep overfilling. So they had to deal with the length of their drain, the position it was, the amount of time the pump is running. So their biggest problem was trying to time when it flooded and when it drained.
And this one is a drip system?
Yes, so this one just drips nutrient solution into the pots all the time. They have it set up on a timer so it only runs periodically, but once the system turns on, it just drips small amounts, maybe a gallon total.
And I noticed we have different forms of media in each pot.
Yeah, so this group is looking at the impact the different media has on the nutrient solution. So they have 3 different, they have hydrotone, coconut fiber, and rock wool. They're collecting the runoff that drips, runs through the pot, goes down, they collect it, and they're looking at the pH and EC in each one to see if they can recycle it straight back to the reservoir.
So I see a big difference in these squash plants. What challenges did these students have to overcome, and what did they learn?
This group figured out pretty quick that the different medias that they chose hold moisture differently. And so the rock wool plants tend to be saturated all the time. So these plants are actually oxygen deficient. They are hurting for oxygen and too much moisture, whereas the hydrotone or the clay balls drains very well, so the plants will just look much better.
And next is aeroponics, which is something definitely new to me.
Yes, this isn't a very common setup. Most people will use this to do started cuttings and then they'll move to another type of system. You can buy these prefab, they're fairly expensive. This group was able to put one together for, I don't know, maybe 80 to 100 bucks for each one of them, not too expensive.
So what's actually taking place in each tub?
So aeroponics is just providing the nutrient solution to the plant roots in a fine mist. So you can see it basically, they're using little nozzles to spray nutrient solution up onto the root system. These systems have to maintain a high level of relative humidity. So we have to keep it, we use seal to lock it all down, and we had to get a tub where we could actually close the lid because we want that humidity in here to be as close to 100% as we can get it. This group had one of their systems, it's all self-contained, so the reservoir is within the tub. The other system has a separate reservoir. The biggest problem they ran into was over time, the nutrient solution will build up salt on these nozzles, and so they don't emit like they're supposed to. Okay, so our last system is NFT, or nutrient film technique. This one's set up for houseplants. Right now, the solution is delivered to the top. There's a layer of nutrient solution that cycles all the way through back to the reservoir, and then is recycled back to the top.
So are the plants strategically placed? Does the nutrients become diluted as it goes down the snake?
The plants themselves, it really doesn't matter. We could do this with anything, but the nutrient film, it's a constant delivery of nutrient solution. So as long as you maintain the reservoir, the concentration that's in the reservoir, you don't have to worry about dilution. It's just constantly recycling. The pump is running all the time, 24/7. It just never fills up all the way. It's just a film of nutrient solution running through there.
So the students are measuring the pH levels and other levels daily. What have they learned and what challenges have they faced in this project?
So initially they don't see any changes in pH or EC. EC is a measure of nutrient salts in solution. So when they first start taking measurements, there's no changes at all. But as the plants start to grow and take up nutrients, then they have to change the solution out.
So at the end of the semester, what do you want each student to take home? You know, you're setting them up to troubleshoot each problem and challenge throughout the year.
Well, at the end of the day, we want students to learn more about plant science, but we also want them to learn skills that they can use in everyday life. I think every group and every student learns it's not as easy as they first think. There's always going to be things that come up, but they can overcome it, figure it out, and get a system to work beautifully.
So the simple takeaway, the future of hydroponics is now. It doesn't have to be complicated or expensive.